He steps to the mic with a boom ping ping. Wisdom sharper than a beast's fierce sting. Words like fireflies that light the night. He turns the dark into blazing bright. Boom ping ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom ping ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, oh the airwaves king. Shake the ground, unveils the truth where lies abound. Politics, justice, social streams. He molds the chaos into dreams. No silence here, just the sound of change. Boom, ping, ping, rearrange. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, or the airwaves king. Through the static, through the noise, he amplifies the people's voice. Boom, ping, ping, like a heartbeat's call. He's got the wisdom to break down walls. Yeah.
Well, good morning. Welcome to the program. It appears that we have safely made it to Friday, and what a week it's been. A lot has happened this week. We relaunched, I suppose, the new-ish Hughes Views 414 YouTube channel with varying degrees of success. So glad that you all have joined us throughout the week and that you are here with us this morning. So today is, I guess, kind of bittersweet in a way. So today, Friday, May 22nd, is the last day that myself and all of my other colleagues at 1017 The Truth are, in fact, employees of Good Karma Brands. And Good Karma Brands, as you all know, is the corporation, essentially, that started 1017 The Truth back in the fall of 2020, with our launch being in January of 2021. It has been one hell of a ride because when you think about who launches a black radio station in the city of Milwaukee during a pandemic, but to the surprise and amazement of a lot of us, it turned into something special, something worth continuing and preserving. And so starting on Tuesday, because Monday is Memorial Day, 1017 The Truth will be back on the air. I don't know if you're not going to notice any differences. We're going to have some new programs. And apparently a show promo has been posted online on our general manager's social media page, at least his Facebook page. His name is Rob Baker. We know him as Biko. So he has announced one of the shows that will be on starting on Tuesday. And that's going to be after that show that he's promoting and announcing is going to be on after my show. So that is one noticeable difference. But everything else probably will stay the same. I know the morning show is going to be the same. It's going to be Homer and Bailey, and then I'm going to be holding it down from 9 a.m. until noon. And I'm not entirely sure about what the rest of the afternoon lineup is going to be, but that's under new ownership. And it's an unusual kind of situation. It's unlike anything I've ever experienced. So this is a learning situation for me as well, that we will be in the same building, in the same studio, 3rd Street Market Hall on the 1st floor. None of that is going to change. It's just we're going to be owned by the Milwaukee Black Media Trust, which is bringing us, WNOV, and the Milwaukee Courier together all under one roof. So I guess we'll see. But I said I was going to do a tell-all of some of the things that may have happened behind the scenes at 1017 The Truth. I'm wondering if I should pause on that, because what I would like to do at some point in time is probably through this channel. I don't know if we would do it in our regular broadcast studio, because I want to have a lot of flexibility with this YouTube channel, because hell, this thing is worth continuing and keeping, assuming that everything goes okay with the broadcast. So far, so good. But I'd like to get some of our old hosts and old producers to come and, do interviews and sit down and chat with me here on this YouTube channel, almost wanting them to tell their stories in their own words. You guys remember our first morning show was Melanie Ricks and Joe Brown, and then I was on after them. There was no Kyle Wallace yet. There was no Benjamin and Carrie Noni yet. They actually came on a little bit later on. There was Tory Lo and there was Dr. Ken, and that rounded out our program day. Somebody told me that Dr. Ken was in the chat yesterday. I hope he's able to join us today, because this is his last day as an official radio broadcaster in the city of Milwaukee. A little bit about Dr. Ken. He and I poke fun at each other because that's just our personalities. I don't want anyone to think that he and I don't get along famously. Like, he gets on my goddamn nerves, but he gets on your nerves too. He wouldn't be Dr. Ken Harris if he didn't irk people. That's what he does. That's who he is as a person. But I've known Dr. Ken for a very, very, very long time, probably 20 plus years. Solid dude. I know that if I needed something, if I was in a pinch, if I was in a little bit of trouble, Dr. Ken would likely be one of my first calls. And it's sad to see him go. It is. He held down the afternoons in a way that only he could. When I listen to his show, and I don't listen to my colleagues' shows very often just because, I don't know. When you do radio, you don't oftentimes want to listen to it. And also, I know the details of what goes into making a show. And then I don't want to start critiquing my colleagues, which is something that you guys wanted me to do. You guys always wanted me to chime in about Tory Lo. I'm going to talk about Tory Lo in a second. But I don't often listen to Dr. Ken's program. If I'm in the car, if I'm out and about running errands, or if I have meetings, well, of course, 1017 The Truth is going to be on in my radio, or on in the vehicle. But it feels like people call Dr. Ken just to argue with him. For those of you that listened to his show and participated, didn't you just call him just to beef? It seemed like somebody would always take the opposite point and then try to prove him wrong, which never works. Gonna miss Doc. He'll still be around. He's got his own YouTube channel as well. And I believe it is Dr. Ken's Truth. So follow him on YouTube, because he is going to, and I think he's keeping the same time slot too. So if you were used to listening to and watching Dr. Ken from 4 until 6, you will still be able to do that on his YouTube channel. So clearly YouTube is the wave of the future. But he will not be joining us starting on Tuesday. I originally thought that he was going to be with us. So we tried to keep our groups together as best we possibly could. But we also realized that these decisions in going over and this transition, this migration, the sale of 1017 The Truth to the Milwaukee Black Media Trust came with some compromises that were over our heads as hosts and producers. Zach is coming with us. I believe, I don't want to speak for him, but my producer, Xavier, I think he also is going to be producing starting on Tuesday with the Milwaukee Black Media Trust. Other than that, I literally have no idea. I know that my show is going to remain almost identical to the previous show. Tory Lo is not joining us. Tory Lo has said like 37 goodbyes. Tory Lo first started saying goodbye and that he was not going to be joining the Media Trust probably 2 weeks ago. he did a segment. It was a little short segment on one of his shows. It might have even been 3 weeks ago because we were sold a month ago, I think. And Tory announced that he was done, but I don't think he gave the date. And then I think yesterday he did something, and then last week I think he was also saying his goodbye. Because when you broadcast, different people listen on different days, and not everybody goes back and listens to the podcast replay. Not everybody goes back and listens to a previous YouTube. So in order to say your proper goodbye, you got to do it several times. That's probably why Tory Lo did it as many times as he did. First time Tory Lo was ever on radio ever in the city of Milwaukee, it was with me on WNOV in like probably 2012 or 2013, because nobody else would let him on their radio shows. Listen, Tory's such a good dude. He is. As a human being, I tell you what, if I go missing, I want Tory Lo to find me. That's who I want y'all to work with, to find me if I go missing, if I disappear. The amount of time, effort, and energy that I've seen him dedicate to people in our community. I'm talking about the shit that didn't make the news. A lot later on, years later, Tory started making the news, and then he used to do a walk. You guys remember Tory Lo's walk? He used to walk to Chicago every year to raise awareness for, I probably should remember this. One of the years, 1017 The Truth sponsored his walk. And so while he was walking, because we used to have a vehicle, SUV. And while Tory he would walk from Milwaukee to Chicago. It's not funny. I'd never understood why he did. I don't even want to walk. I wouldn't want to walk downtown. And I don't live but like 4 miles from downtown. But Tory would walk every year from Milwaukee to Chicago to raise awareness for something. And then the first year that we were in operation, The Truth sponsored his walk. And like they followed him with the Truth van, and we got coverage. I think he might have broadcasted live a portion of his walk. But he's done so much stuff. He turned political fairly recently, because when I knew him, when I first met him, he hated every politician because he didn't see them doing the work or having the capacity to do the work that he did every day. You know what I mean? So he naturally had beef and had issues with elected officials. And then he would see like the money they would get for different programs. And, you know, Tory Lo, give me half of that money and I will get it all done, Truth Nation. They get millions of dollars. They wasting the funds. He was always concerned about money being wasted. And look, and I get it. But when he turned political, I think that's when he got a little more controversial. And then some of the promos for his show, because we all would record these like 30-second like descriptions of our shows that would run as commercials. And for the last probably 6 months, maybe more, the promo that Tory had for his commercial on 1017 The Truth was like a pro-Trump commercial. Like, Donald Trump making deals? I don't see y'all making deals. And people would always ask me, oh, you know, Sherwin, are you going to challenge Tory? Oh, did you hear what Tory said? No, I'm not going to do that. The reasons why he decided to be more political and take a more political turn with his show, I don't know why he did it. It's not for me to know. If he wanted me to know, he would have told me. So I don't judge him. He said some stuff though on a couple of occasions where I was just like, fuck. But I know him, you know, as a human being. So I don't know why I did it. Who knows? He's got his own reasons. But he will not be continuing on with radio. He said he's dropping a mixtape. I don't know if you guys saw social media. So maybe Tory's going to be a rapper. I don't fucking know what's going on. But cheers and salute to him, because he was there with us on the very first day when The Truth launched, January 4th, 2021. In fact, the only people that were there the first day The Truth launched that are continuing on are me and Zach. We are the last men standing. Speaking of men, I've always taken issue with the lack of Black women's voices on talk radio and in Milwaukee specifically. Because Black women, I probably should, I don't know, maybe be kinder in some of the things that I say about dating and relationships. But ladies, it's never personal. But Black women are the majority of our listeners, and I always thought it was a bit of a mismatch because you have all these dudes hosting all these shows. Of our men, our producers are men, and I didn't think that was entirely fair. And then for a period of time, we did have women producers and we did have women hosting shows. I think this new version of 1017 The Truth will feature more women, but I don't entirely know what the lineup is going to be. But there's not enough Black women, and they're the voters. They outvote African American men. I have a political talk show. I know this week it hasn't seemed like it, so we've talked about everything except politics here, because I'm also just trying to get used to this whole format, whatever. Eventually, this will be an extension of the regular political content that I do. But I've always wanted more African-American women. And so I'd say that. And then I remember when Ben and Carrie got hired. And so Kyle Wallace was my producer at the time. And Kyle Wallace, oh, by the way, he is not continuing either. So I believe today at noon, Kyle's done. I think he did some goodbyes. Apparently he told a story about how I got hired. I didn't hear it. I think he told it yesterday. If Zach is in the chat, Zach will co-sign that. Sam said he remembers when Tory ran for alderman. Sam, Tory ran for alderman more than once, bro. And guess who he ran against? Malele. Did you guys know that Malele Coggs, the alderwoman of the 6th District, Malele got elected in 2008, the same year Obama did. And I remember that year because I was managing the campaign of Malele's opponent, a woman by the name of Una Vanderval. There was a real crowded primary because I think that was when Marlene Johnson Odom stepped down, and then that was an open seat in the 6th District. A whole bunch of people ran. And I was managing Una Vanderval's campaign. And there was a candidate forum or a candidate debate. This is way back in 2000. Hell, it might have been in 2007. That campaign might have started the previous year. And so there was I'll never forget this. So there was a candidate forum where all the candidates were there. And of course, all their supporters were, I think it was at Clinton Rose. And I remember I stood up and asked a question of Malele. And I wasn't very nice to her. I was mean to her because obviously I'm managing the campaign of one of her opponents. And I said some shit like, Malele, your family has been in office in this city for, at the time, it was like, for 60 years, and the conditions in our community are not getting any better. And there's always been a Coggs in office. When I said that Malele handed me my whole ass in front of that group of people, and then because the crowd was mostly Malele and Coggs supporters, I learned that quickly, but she and I have been cool ever since. But Malele Coggs is Tory Lo's sister-in-law. So he tells a story better than I do, but him running against her, because he's lived in that district his whole life. So Tory is familiar with the 6th District, right? So he ran because he knows the people, he knows what the issues are. If I'm not mistaken, 53206 is also in the 6th Aldermanic District. So when Tory ran, he ran to be an alderperson of the district that he lived and grew up in, right? But at the same time, he was running against his sister-in-law. And, family shit gets deep. That's a whole nother level of disagreement that can take place when you're running against your family members. But, that was, you're right, Sam. Tory did run for office a couple of times. DJ Brother Z says, yes, he told the story yesterday how Kyle wanted Michelle Bryant over Sherwin at first, because he thought Sherwin's earlier broadcasts were boring. Fair enough. But Kyle also, he didn't tell the whole story. There's no way he did. Because Kyle he didn't know who the fuck I was, which is fine, because Kyle is a sports dude. And Kyle told me that his auntie used to listen to Michelle Bryant. And that's how Kyle found out about Michelle Bryant being over at WNOV. And they interviewed her and everything. And she opted not to take the job. So at that time, Michelle and I were still cool. So she got interviewed way before I did. Like, I wasn't even a consideration until the very end. So Michelle, when she sat down and she got interviewed by Kyle, and she talked to Cherie Harris, who was our first general manager of The Truth. And Michelle called me. She was like, "Hey, Sherwin, here's what this new radio station is all about." She was like, "Oh, I talked to Kyle. I talked to Cherie." Michelle opted not to stay at WNOV because she didn't want to take the risk of whatever The Truth was going to be. And I think she felt comfortable at WNOV. But I can't remember if she encouraged me to apply or not. Well, eventually, you know what? I think Michelle Bryant was the one that gave me Kyle Wallace's phone number. And I called him, and dude was like, "Oh, go to our website and send your resume to resumes@goodkarmabrands.com." And I was like, "Dude, I'm not applying for a radio job by submitting my resume. I don't even think I have a fucking resume. I haven't needed one in 20 years. So eventually, myself, Jason Fields, and Dr. Ken devised some kind of a strategy. What the strategy was, I don't fucking remember. But we all ended up being on there. Because, Jason was with us as well, Jason Fields. He was a fill-in host. He filled in for me a lot. And then, of course, Dr. Ken, who got hired before me as well, also got a show. But our first 2 weeks of broadcasting back in 2021, when The Truth first launched, Dr. Ken had COVID, so he wasn't there the first 2 weeks. So when I say the only people that are surviving this new incarnation of 1017 The Truth that were there on the first day, just me and Zach. Everybody else has gone off to greener pastures. You guys remember a lot of the women that we had. We had Zach. What was her name? She moved to Chicago. Serena, was that her name? I think her name is Serena. Then we had Jess Bree. We had Stephanie. Of course, Rhea was my producer for a little while. She was my producer at WNOV. Then we hired her at The Truth. Then she left. There's another woman's producer. Zach and I got in trouble for mentioning her name because she left 1017 The Truth, and the circumstances in which she left prevents me or anyone else from mentioning her by name. It's unfortunate. I hope that one day I can tell that story. I guess I could fucking roll the dice and tell it now. I really liked her. I did. I liked her very much as a producer until I didn't. Carrie was my producer for probably 2 years. Because I was complaining that we didn't have enough black women, like talent, hosts, and producers. And then they hired Carrie, like, "Oh yeah, Sherwin, Carrie's going to be your producer." First time that a woman had been my producer full time. So Rhea, when she produced me over at WNOV, it was just for like a couple of shows. But Carrie was hired to be my full-time producer. And I was pissed off about it because Carrie was new. I was like, she don't know how to, because I don't know, you'd have to ask producers. Either I'm terrible to work with or very easy, because I don't want my producers to do shit. I don't want them doing too much. And I say that because I got to protect the integrity of the broadcast. And if my producer is doing too much, then the likelihood that they're going to make a mistake is high. And sometimes y'all don't hear the mistakes we make. We fuck up a lot. Not as much as we used to, but we fuck up frequently. But there's a way in which we can cover up for it or make up for it. So most of y'all don't hear it, but we hear it. And the more my producer is doing, the higher the likelihood that they're going to make a mistake or they're going to fuck up. And sometimes those fuck ups distract us as hosts. When a host gets distracted, the show basically is over. So I don't want my producers doing too much, and it's a disservice to them because a lot of them are super talented. And I tell them, like, yeah, I don't need your talent. Like, Sherwin, I want to do this and I want to add some circus sound effects to your show. I'm like, no, Don't do that. Because you might fuck up and make a mistake, and then the whole show goes off the rails. So, yeah, Carrie was too talented, though, to just produce my show.